Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Time. We hope that you're having a lovely morning where you are. As you can see, I brought my boys with. Caleb and Peter have come to join in our story time, and they have a fun activity that we're going to be doing together just now. But before we get into our story or our activity, we're going to ask Jesus to be with us right now. Caleb, can you pray for us, please?
Sure. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day that you've given us, and thank you for being with us through these hard times that our country's facing. And I pray that you will give us what we need to carry on. Praise your name.
Amen. Okay, thank you, my boy. And so, I want you to go and fetch your Bibles, children, if you have one nearby, because we have a special memory verse that we are going to read together. If you can open your Bibles with me, we're going to Philippians chapter 4 and verse 13. And if you would like to say it along with me, you are welcome to do so. It says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Well, that's a memory verse that we're going to hold on to, because I have an interesting challenge to give to the boys. So here we go, gentlemen. There's a blank piece of paper, and your instructions are a very simple one. I want you to find a way to climb through the middle of that piece of paper. Okay? You can fold it, you can scrunch it, you can tear it, but you need to make sure that the outside is still intact, so that it's still the single piece of paper, but you can cut it, tear it, do what you need to do. Okay. In the meantime, while they get on with that, I want to remind you about a story that I think some of you know already, and that comes from the book of Jonah. How many of you know about the prophet Jonah? Jonah was given an instruction by God. And it was a little bit like this instruction. It was like, how am I going to do that? How many of you know what his instruction was? His instruction was to leave his hometown, go to the town of Nineveh, go and preach to everybody there, tell them that they need to confess their sins, and God will forgive them, and if they don't, the whole city is going to be destroyed. Was that an easy thing to do? No. Jonah thought it was impossible. So he decided to come up with a completely different plan. So I want to see what these boys have come up with their plan. So can you remember what the instruction was, boys?
Yeah, climb through.
You have to find a way to climb through. So how are you going to do that? No, can't through. So they've made a plan, but their plan hasn't worked very well. And sometimes we are faced with situations that seem really hard, and we make a plan and it's a little bit like their plans and it just doesn't work. So we need something extra. And that's what I want to share with you in the activity that we're going to try together. God gave Jonah a very clear plan and some special tools. And that's what I'm going to share with the boys right now. Peter, you ready to go? Alright, so here's your piece of paper. First instruction, fold it in half, long ways. Okay, all the way down the middle. And we said we need a plan, which is instructions, and some tools. So the tools that I'm giving you is a pair of scissors. Okay, so children, you're going to follow on just now, doing the same thing. You'll see that the folded piece is at the bottom, and Peter's going to start cutting. Alright, he's cutting about 2 centimeters away from the edge, even spaces, almost to the top. Don't cut all the way to the top, because then you're going to have to start all over again. Okay, so you just keep going, strip after strip. Thanks, Peter. Great job. Okay. Alright, so this is now your piece of paper that's cut with the strips all the way to the end. Now you're going to turn it around, and you are going to cut from the other side. Alright, this is the open side. First instruction, do not cut the first piece. Okay, leave that one, and you're going to cut up the middle from the second one onwards. Now remember we said, can you remember our memory verse? I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And our story was Jonah, who was given a task that seemed impossible. The boys were given a task that they said was impossible. They couldn't climb through their piece of paper. But what we're doing now is we've given them a set of instructions, which is like getting a plan from God, and they've been given a tool that's going to help. Whenever God gives us a task to do, He always gives us a way to do it, a plan and the tools that we need. Those tools might be things like scissors, but more likely it's going to be giving us a strong heart, giving us a strong mind, giving us kindness, giving us a gentle spirit. Those are the kinds of tools that God gives us. Okay, so children, you can see we're almost at the end, and you want to make sure that nothing tears or falls away. So make sure you don't cut all the way to the end, and you stop on the second last one. So just where Caleb is now, you're not going to cut the last one. Okay. Alright, so this is as far as you've got. You've cut all these strips, but now there's one more task. So Peter's holding it on the one end, and now there's one more cut that you need to do. Alright, Peter, so you need to show the children where it is that they need to cut. You'll see where the piece of paper was folded is where they need to cut through the top. Okay, take your scissors and cut carefully right through. That's it. And you're going to do that on each piece as you work your way down. So this one will take you a little while to cut through all of them. But while Peter's finishing that, let's just go back, and you remember what our memory verse was? It's going to be, our memory verse was Philippians 4 verse 13, which says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So Peter is doing all things here. Peter, do you know what you're doing here?
Yes, I do.
You do? Are you sure?
It.
Or you're just following instructions at the moment? You're not quite sure how it's going to end up. Well, children, sometimes it is like that. When God wants us to do something, and we go, but I don't know how to do that. I'm too scared. We might want to run away, or I don't know what to say, or I don't know what to do. We just follow the instructions. God will give us whatever we need. If we need to be brave, He gives us courage. If we need to be kind, He gives us a gentle heart. If we need to have the right answers, He gives us a quick mind. So we don't have to be like Jonah and run away from the tasks that God gives us. We just need to ask Him, so Lord, how must I do this? And then listen when He gives us an instruction, and sometimes He even gives us the tools that we need. So Peter, are we almost there at the end? We've got just one to go. Okay, and cut the last one for the children, and then let's see what comes out of that. Okay, Peter, so open up and let's see what's happened to our little square piece of paper. Wow, look at this. And now the question was, can you fit through your piece of paper, Peter? Yes, you can. Look at that. Well done. So look at what my boys have produced. Okay, now you can step easily through. It started out with just a simple piece of paper like this. And you remember your first instruction was climb through the middle. Okay, and your own plans didn't work very well, did they? Okay, but when I gave you some different instructions and I gave you the right tools, then you were able to. So what seemed impossible actually became very easy in the end. And so children, that's the message that we wanted to leave with you. Okay? Sometimes being God's child feels hard. Sometimes being a Christian at school is hard. Sometimes being kind when somebody's mean to you feels impossible. Sometimes facing a hard exam or a test at school, it just seems like you're never going to get through it. And we want you to remember the verse that we started with in our story. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And then remember the story of Jonah. When he had his own plan, he ran away and he ended up in the belly of a fish. But when he followed God's plan and he took the courage that came from God and the message that came from God, the whole city of Nineveh was saved. Just like the boys tried to climb through a piece of paper, but they couldn't. But when they followed the plan and they used the tools, they were able to do so. So have some fun with your own experiments with your parents today. And remember always that you can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. Bye-bye, everyone.